Phil Allot, you're the Conservative candidate for the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner for the elections at the start of May. Why are you standing?
Well, I'm standing because I want to make a difference. I've always been interested in law and order. I studied law at university. I've always tried to be on the right side of the debate and help people. And I see this as an extension of my former role as a counsellor and standing up and representing people. And ultimately, this role's always about being on the side of the victim.
And just to tell people a little about your background, you work in communications and PR at the moment. What's that about?
So, in terms of my current role, I work in communications, but I also work in data protection. I'm a qualified data protection GDPR practitioner. And in addition to, I sort of work with companies needing help with international marketing and promoting companies in Yorkshire and elsewhere in the UK. Overseas.
And the role itself is, it was originally police commissioner, but now it encompasses the fire commissioner role as well. But I think it confuses a lot of people what that actually means the commissioner would do. Have you got a succinct explanation of what it would mean that you would do?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two folds to the role. There's the police and crime commissioner part of the role, which is drawing up the local police and crime plan to protect residents. And then there's a second side to it, which is responsible for the fire service. It's slightly confusing, but the chief fire officer is accountable to the PFCC. And I'm also responsible for putting together and submitting the fire plan for North Yorkshire. Now, these are all done, of course, in consultation with the chief officers, and I see it as a partnership, working together, setting the plans, representing the general public, councillors, and pulling those plans together, so actually they're joined up with what people really want.
And is that an operational plan, or more of a kind of a higher level business plan that the commissioners work on?
So the plans vary. My plan will drill down. So we will be looking at violence against women and young girls. We'll be looking at making communities safer, but we'll also be looking at things that the public are concerned about, like dog thefts. And also, most importantly, and probably top of my in-tray, is county lines drug dealers and drug dealing in North Yorkshire, which, we can't brush under the carpet, is an issue.
And in North Yorkshire, all the main parties have put forward a candidate, and we've got an independent candidate as well. I know this has been subject of debate before, but what are the benefits or disadvantages of being the candidate for a political party?
I think the advantages are, especially if it's a Conservative candidate, that you have the ear of government. So I'm already talking to Priti Patel. I'm already speaking to the policing minister. In fact, I was speaking to last night, and it means I can get a case forward for North Yorkshire. So those are a given. I think obviously standing on a political badge, people know broadly what you're standing for. But it's not an easy one either to be selected. You have to first of all get yourself shortlisted, and you've got to be on the approved list to be shortlisted. You then get interviewed by a committee. They've done first of all a sift and rejected quite a number of applicants. You then go before a big selection committee, generally with two other candidates, and there can be 100 plus people there, and they have a say, they grill you, you give a presentation, and ultimately, having answered a lot of questions, they make a decision. The negative side, representing any political party, at times you have to toe the party line, but I think in the Conservative Party it's always been a broad church, it's always been a law and order party, and therefore I'm very proud to be standing as the Conservative candidate.
Just looping back round to, you mentioned your priorities, and particularly things like county lines, drug dealing. How have you developed your priorities?
So I think there's a number of things. First of all, in terms of those priorities, I've been listening to people now for over 2 years in terms of what their concerns are. So if I said that my email inbox generally is about county lines drug dealing, is about antisocial behaviour, is about concerns about the police sometimes being accountable and a feeling sometimes that the police are remote. And then allied to that, we've got things like dog thefts, violence against women and young girls, and all those things. That helps to shape the colour of what my police, fire and crime plan will be.
And you mentioned there about sometimes the police are seen as remote. Is that sometimes a bit of a misunderstanding on the part of the public with what they maybe expect the police to be doing, or how quickly they expect them to be responding?
I think we've got to make sure that the police are reflecting the 21st century. And there are people I know out there, and there'll be people listening to this, who think the answer is to build more police stations. And if it was only so simple, some of the police stations before the review were getting one visitor a day. Can we really justify that when we can use that money to recruit another 3 police officers, equip them and get them out in the community? However, having said all of that, the police have to be accessible. It means when you dial that 101 number to talk to an officer, you get through in less than 40 seconds. And that's something I will be working away at to get right, because I still don't think it's 100%. Secondly, most of us communicate, or a lot of us, on WhatsApp and other messaging systems. That's now been rolled out to the Community Watch. But I think we've got to allow people access, or greater access, to the police and the services the police provide, not just online, which some of that's now a given, but through things like WhatsApp, chat and various other things. Now, I'm pleased, in fairness, that North Yorkshire's now starting to pioneer some of those things, but it's been a long time coming. And the thing I would say, Tim, over all of this, that people have got to be able to get hold of the police quickly when they need to. And not everything's a 999 emergency. There are people just want reassurance, there are people who need help. They must get through, and that's what I intend to drive through.
Phil Allot, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.